All right, so for the jeweled ring model, I wanted to show everybody a couple of different versions. We did briefly go over these last class, but like I said before, your jeweled this is not a jewelry class. So however you want to go about this, more power to you. I am not expecting this to be like any kind of masterfully crafted jeweler piece or so. If you want to make it close enough, that's pretty much close enough in my book. If you want to make it kind of like ring pop style, where you got like a ridiculously oversized ring and a small or a jewel and a smaller like actual human sized ring, great. If you want to actually use this as like a way to just play with some ideas, also good. But the general thing is, it has to make use of. Obviously, you're using the plane cutting tool and such to make the jewel, but it has to make use of some combination of the pipe tool, the sweep tool, oh, that's revolve, sweep tool, and or loft. These are all extremely similar tools, but they're also very distinct. Differences there being the pipe, we played with different examples with the pipe tool. That is simply all of these are basically following a path. The path being some sort of in this case, a simple loop, just a circle. And by the by, this does not even have to be a complete circle. It could be partial, it could be multiple partials that kind of sort of come together. That's fine. However you want to go about this. But when we're making this, all of this is going to be based around some sort of a line, in this case, the circle. The pipe tool creates a form directly around that using the pipe tool, which, as it says here, solid pipe that follows a path. The path is just that circle. Same thing for a sweep. In this case, let me swap over to the sweep version. Activate that one. And the sweep is you create your own, it still follows a path. You create your own profile rather than in the preset ones. And if you want, you can twist it as you go along. The sweep tool allows for that, which you'll go back to edit feature. If you are making a complete circle, remember that your sweep, if you're twisting it, it must be in increments of 360 degrees because it's got to meet back up right where it started. Anything outside of that messes it up. So if it's even just a single 360 twist, twists around, cool, Mobius strip style. 720, even more. Starts to get really neat and twisted. Fun stuff. Other example, rather than the sweep, is the loft tool. That allows you to create two or more profiles, and in this case, along a path. So the profiles would be a top rounded edge circle, and here an ellipse. They could be whatever you please. The path is still that circle, only this time in a sweep, you make in a loft, you make half of your object because you're going along that line from one sketch or from one profile to the other, following a path, and then you simply mirror that, join it, and now you have that more flattened shape. Super duper. So you can play around with all of those kind of things. We're also going to be creating some sort of a setting that looks wildly ornate. It's really not, but that is just there to hold your jewel. But one of the other things I wanted to show everybody was some other examples. So with that sketched or with that lofted ring, you can also work into that. So what I did here is this is simply playing around with the pipe tool on top of a surface. So I have my loft, made half, joined it together. I created a construction plane floating above that and created a sketch. Oops, wrong one. Of just simply some circles. In this case, an oval. And I just kept using the offset tool to make it bigger, 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 bigger. From that, I created the rings projected onto the ring itself. Sorry, these circles projected onto the ring using the sketch project tool. And because that is now on the surface of the ring, not just on top, I can apply the pipe tool. So combination move here, the pipe tool onto any of these lines as a path and I can start cutting away, and eventually I create this kind of like fingerprint looking thing. And then I added some appearances to it just so you can see it more clearly. And just some different ways that you could use these tools to like modify one or modify another one. But one of the other examples I wanted to show people, let me reactivate and open up the whole thing. Some people were asking about, well, what about like, does it have to be a straight line? Yeah, it's a circle and it's bent into a circle, but I mean, does it have to be flat on a path? No. You can actually create waves using the pipe tool. So this is all wobbly back and forth, and then I use the pipe tool to generate this profile around it. You could even go so far as to make those partial. So that's the same thing, just less warping. And if you wanted, you could even make some kind of combination of that and say, like with this wavy ring, you make one, and then why not? Come on, copy, paste, fine, you can make me move it. And what? It contains an active component. Okay, so what? I'm on it. First, activate the component you wish to copy. Oh, did I nest one? No, it's on the component. That's literally what it is. Don't know why it's not letting me do this. That's funky. Fine, I'll just activate the whole thing. Create copy, and you can very quickly add complexity simply by making one, making a copy and rotating it a little bit. And now it looks like I have an interwoven ring. So you can very, very quickly build all kinds of complexity simply by copying, making an adjustment to that copy, repositioning, and join them together afterwards. Very simple ways, or very simple tools. That's on two separate bodies. Now, where the hell is that one? Wavy ring 2 for some reason. Okay. You can also add features. So these are all added using, in this case, these are all added using the emboss tool. So exactly like we used to create surface features on both the revolve vessel and the container, many of you did, you can use to create whatever, little squiggly lines. You can even use these edges, which are exactly this, literally the pre-existing edge of this object, and I can apply a pipe tool to that. And I can either cut, join, whatever, but I can instantly add quite a bit of variation to this thing just by making use of what is already there. So all I did, yeah, it looks like a clown ring, but all I did is just selecting these pre-existing edges, that can become an additional path. Path can also be projected and drawn onto the surface, whatever. Other thing is, like I said, you can use multiple jewels if you want. This one here is created using a pattern on a path. Say that multiple times fast. What I did for that is same deal. Have your object, say this is your jewel on top. Let's see, which one is it? There we are. Say that's your jewel on top. But instead of just simply making a circle pattern and rotating that pattern around and making duplicates, I would like to offset those or just change it up. So what I did is I drew a path on a construction plane. Another sketch allows it to be projected onto the surface. And now I could use the tool pattern on path, which is just, again, a pattern of objects. But rather than it just being around a circle or a center point, you can have them run down the length of a path, exactly like you can have text go along a path and create multiples that follow along that path, join them all up. There you go. And now it has multiples all all along the length. So there's a lot you can do with some very simple minor adjustments. So I will pause there to allow for some work, and I'm going to check in with peoples. All right, so yeah, you can certainly make duplicates of using a pipe tool on that path, just copy paste that sort of thing. But I would also like to show y'all how I did like this wavy ring here. So how would I go about making one of these? I'm still going to use a path. I just have to use a different version of a sketch. So let me start a new component here, and I'll save this as exactly that. Wavy ring demo. Let's hide the previous bodies. Don't need that. I'm going to create a sketch just like I was going to do anyway. Let's say it's on a or it's starting at a circle. Cool. I don't know, whatever yours ends up being. 100 seems extremely excessive as a path. But looking at the toolbox, the sketch toolbox here on the right, there's an additional option here. It's called 3D sketch. And we're going to use that for this. What that allows for, normally with that checkbox unselected, it keeps all your sketches, no matter where you move the mouse, even if you rotate your work plane, you're always only going to be working on this flat two-dimensional plane. But what I want to do is actually work off of that in the same sketch. So what I'm going to do is I have not gotten out of the sketch. I'm working on the exact same sketch as before. I'm going to select 3D sketch. From there, I don't even have to project anything, but it might help. I'm going to, in this case, use a line tool. I'm going to start at where my circle meets one of the axis lines. And now I'm going to go out 90 degrees from that. And I don't know, let's just say 15 millimeters that way. As you can see, that now, within the same sketch, I am now moving perpendicular to my sketch in a different axis. Yes. One moment. One moment. Okay, so we made the one. Now we want to make multiples, or at very least, we made one sketch going upwards. I would like to make another going downwards. Now, one thing that I like doing, hey guys, keep it down, please. So one thing I like to do that helps me align everything, because I need to make multiples, and not that they have to stay aligned, but for me, it helps. I'm going to draw a line, but use it as a construction line. So line right to where I started, construction line. I'm going to do it again, starting in the center, line tool, construction line. And this time I'm just going to go up like an increment. So I don't know, let's say 30 degrees. I don't know, maybe something to that effect. Sure, great, whatever. Now go up to there. So now I know that I can start at a 30-degree angle, start another line tool right where I was. This time I'm going to go backwards. So it is difficult to sometimes make the line function in the direction you want. But you'll notice that because I have 3D Sketch active, when I start a line, a new origin point is created. I have all my planes, I have rotation, all that. And if I mouse over the direction I want it to go, so like the Z-axis in this case, blue, see how it highlights blue and kind of locks it in? Same thing would be if I highlighted the red axis, see how it gives me a trajectory? That makes it a little bit easier. So you can start your mouse right there, and it's more inclined to go along with that line, or actually that's what it's supposed to do. So let's say, I don't know, I'll just keep it even on both sides of 15. Great. Okay, so now I have two lines, 15 millimeters one direction, 15 millimeters the other. Distance doesn't matter, whatever. I'm just playing around. Now I have that, and of course, the reason I did this with this angle here, if I down the line decide, oh, actually, I should have made that a little bit wider, I can double click on that. Let's make that 45. And now my line, what will be my construction lines are locked into that angle. It helps a lot. Let the program do the work. All right. So I'm going to say I like those two lines. I'm going to use a circle pattern to select that one and that one, the two lines I made, going opposite directions. My center point, the center. And now, since I did 45s, I'll do 4. That means the whole circle is divided up evenly, 45, 90, 135, 180, all that kind of fun. Okay, cool. So because I do use my circle pattern, now I have lines that looks kind of like 2 trampolines stuck to each other, or whatever you see. So I have lines going in opposite directions against the z-axis. I am still in the same sketch environment. No change at all. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a fit point spline. So rather than just a circle, a fit point spline. The circle we've been the curved line we've been using the whole semester. Doesn't matter which one of these you start at. I'm going to select one point, go the opposite direction, the other point. If you have difficulty seeing the whole thing, orbit around as you're working. Other point, other point. Just going back and forth. That is all. It's easy to get lost, so take your time. Oh, looks like I missed it. Nope, that's correct. And they should meet back up, and it'll automatically smooth back out. There we are. So what I should have done before, I'm going to change my original circle to a construction line just so you can see a little more clearly. And now you can see I have a wavy path. And the good thing about that is again, if I want to make changes, since I've used the circle pattern tool rather than this being incremental, I could say, you know what, that one should have been 10. And this one should have been 25. I can very quickly make alterations to the entire path doing it this way. All right, cool. That's my wavy pattern. Now, do whatever the hell you want. In this case, we can go back to use the pipe tool. There we go. Now I got a wacky wavy pipe. Hit OK. And why not? Let's make a copy. Copy paste. Or in this case, since that's, yeah, whatever, it's fine. What? Why does it keep doing this? Oh, it's granted to parent. Great. Great copies. It's fine. Good Lord. The reason I keep getting an error because it automatically grounded like we did with the container. So just right click on the component that you see the little anchor key. Select that and you should be able to uncopy it now, or now you should be able to copy it more easily. Let's move copy. Of course, for some reason, my center where it wants to rotate from is not in the center. So if your center point that it comes up as is not in the center, go to your toolbox, select the option that says set pivot, find the center. Good God, why is it doing it that way? That is every possible kinds of wonky. I don't know why it's doing this. What the hell is it doing here? Just freaking out, apparently. All right, I don't know why it won't let me select, so let's just bring up the origin point. It should be let me work that way then. No. Move around the origin point. There we go. I had to unhide the origin point on my project tree to get to it. Once you set the pivot point, now you have to go back to the toolbox, select the same thing, done. Now we're good. All right, want to make a copy, and I'm just literally rotating this like, I don't know, 45 degrees. Cool. Now I instantly have like a braided ring. Very easy way to do it. Of course, I had to go through a couple extra steps for no good reason. Join them together, bam, braided ring. Main thing about a lot of this is you're using the tools to make a simple little piece that you can repeat around a circle so it becomes an infinite pattern, because let's say you make like a slightly roundy thing. Well, if you mirror that to make it more like an S, now you can keep making copies all around in a circle and you end up with a wavy thing. So that's how you can make a wavy ring. Make a bunch of them, or heck, you could even then go so far as like, all right, well, I liked that one, but now I can add more to it, like joining in other designs. Obviously, those should have been the same size, but you can combine a lot of these to create some really cool patterns. So hopefully that helps with your design. All right, so we made our whatever ring you're working on. I want to show everybody how, excuse me a second. I want to show everybody how you can make a basic setting for this kind of thing. Because the idea here is, yeah, you can make it ring pop style, whatever. Let me hide some things here. But I want to show you how you can make, like, basically in a setting, it's like the little claws that go around a gemstone. Again, we are not making actual jewelry. This is going to be, yeah, close enough is close enough for this. So I want to show you how you can do that. First, let me hide some of this other stuff going on here. That wasn't the one that I wanted to hide. There we go. Wavy ring demo. Cool. We use that. And why not use one of the jewels you've already made? So what you can do to bring a model from a different one in, or it brings the whole project in. So in this case, I have my wavy ring, the ring you're trying to build currently, the project open. Open up your data panel, the little matrix button on the side, on the left side, right click on the project you want to bring in. Don't open it. Right click it and just insert into current design. Bam. Brings it in. You can move it into place immediately if you want, whatever. It's up to you. But one of the things you want to make sure to do is it brings it in as a new component. It brings the entire project in. Right click. Let me hit OK. Let me finish that. Right click on the component you just brought in. See this little chain link symbol? That means that these two files are linked now. Any change you make to this gem is going to change the original one. So right click on that and just, it should be right about where your cursor already is. Break link. Now you can alter this one without it interfering with the other. All right. So, and I'm just going to move these two ring chunks into place. I don't know why it keeps doing that. And ideally, center this as best you can. Why not? Why not? Okay. So even with this absurdly large jewel, I still want to build some sort of a setting for it. And that can be just kind of whatever. But let me keep this separate so it's easier to find. Nope, don't want to start. And jewel setting. I know we're running short on time, so I'm going to kind of speed run this a little bit. So I'm just hiding these just for the sake of time being. What I want to do is just create some kind of that little feature around. A couple of quick, simple ones you can make, build this with is just basically use the jewel as your starting point. So I'm going to activate the component that I want to make. All right, the jewel setting, great. I want to start a new sketch, just looking at the side of it. And if your jewel or if your ring is of the same side, cool, doesn't really matter. Just working on one of these major ones. And I'm going to project. Press P on the keyboard. By bodies, I'm just going to borrow the outline of my jewel. Great. Now I have that. I can now borrow the jewel, wherever that happens to be. There we go. All right, I've got the outline of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the offset tool and expand that out a little bit. Sure, 5 millimeters. That's pretty beefy. Oh, negative, so it goes the other way for whatever reason. Cool. And now I'm going to draw a couple of lines. One, I want to divide this down the middle. So if you want, you can go straight up and down the whole thing. Cool. That's going to divide now a left and right. And I also, excuse me, want to stop this line so it's just, so it just kind of curls just around the jewel. So all that is, I don't know, right about there-ish. Cool, even right in the middle. Neat. So now it divides and highlights that little chunk. All right, that'll work. So I can even do a couple versions of exactly this. One would be, let me do a revolve, just like we did for the revolve vessel. I've got my profile. My axis is the center. Spin it around. Okay. So that's the start of this. And let me just label these. Fancy setting. Because now, to get the individual sections, I need to chop this up. So I'm going to start another sketch. Again, perpendicular to what I got going. You can, if you want, you can project, doesn't matter. But in this case, I'm just going to start right about there. I'm going to use an oval shape. Sure, whatever. Doesn't matter in this case. All I'm using this for, finish that sketch. I just want to use that profile to chop a hole in it. So I'm going to extrude and just go straight forward. Have it cut out. Now I've got a fancy little cutout. If you want to make any additions to this, like use a chamfer on the surface, I don't know, 1. Hey, that works. Nice. So now it's got a nice chamfered surface. There we go. It's just like adding a fillet, just at an angle. And now I want to duplicate that. So pattern, circle pattern, by feature, the feature I just made. Why is it highlighting all the things? There we go. There we go. Axis, the Z-axis. And how many sides was mine? 10. So let's make this 5. There you go. That's a pretty simple way to make a setting for a jewel. Activate the whole to-do. That'll work. Something to that effect. Now, technically, does this actually finish work? Does this actually finish out working? Not really. One last step on this would be I'm going to use the jewel as a cutting tool and see how it is currently all smooth on the inside. I want those facets to be fitted. So that would just be a combine. Target body would be the setting I just made. My tool body would be the jewel. I'm going to cut, but I want to keep the component, keep the tools. What's the error this time? Ensure the bodies, clear overlap. All right, whatever. Don't know why it's not letting me. It's probably because it's not actually creating much of an overlap. I don't think they're actually making much contact. So, all right, fine, whatever. So I'll have to cancel that, but that would essentially be that I would just use the jewel to cut the facets into the new thing. So cool, that'll work. The other way would be, we'll do that as the fancy setting. The other way would be exactly the same thing. We'll do this setting outline. And instead of making an entire revolve, I'll do it like we did for making the little feet on the vessels. I'll still use a revolve just because it's convenient. What happened to it? Oh, I might have accidentally. Where the heck did my outline go? One moment. What happened here? Not entirely sure what happened to my line there. That's weird. Oh. No, it's there. Just strangely enough, my line disappeared on this. The rest of the elements of the sketch are there. Oh, I'm looking at it from the wrong side. Didn't disappear. I'm just dumb. All right. I just still need the same thing there. So reactivate the same component that I was trying to work on. Revolve, same profile. Axis, same spot. But instead of a 360, I'm just going to do like, I don't know, like 10 degrees. But I do want to make sure it's symmetric. So I'm just creating just this little segment. All right. Made the one. Same thing. Let's throw a couple of chamfers on the sides of this just to make it fancy. I don't know, 5. Oh, too many. 1 works. So now I have 1 claw. Let's make more. Same thing. Pattern, circle pattern to now, instead of repeating the feature, the cutaway feature, now I'm just recreating the entire little claw around the same axis. Saves as 5. There you go. Now this time I instead have claws to fit it. Now, granted, I do want to join these together, and one minor issue with creating this. Oh, why did it made copies of it without the chamfer? That's odd. Let's repeat that. Oh, because it was on features rather than bodies. That's weird. Same thing. Let's repeat that again to 5. Great. Now it works. Cool. There you go. So it's got my little features, all of that. Nice. So in order to obviously join this to like your ring body or whatever, You, of course, want to, let me reactivate the whole project, unhide the bodies, got my little ring thing there. Now, granted, this ring would be rather painful to wear, so, less stabby on the bottom there. You could, of course, cut that chunk away or just not have it modeled. But one of the easier ways to just kind of create something is do exactly that. Literally create a thing to just bring them together. So let me hide the ring there. And I don't know, in this case, I could just create a cylinder. Let's start it right about there. Let's make it wide enough to where it's going to overlap some stuff. Yeah, no, the thing is hidden at the moment. And let's just drag it up a little bit. Where is it being created? Oh. It's a problem with forgetting where you're working. Now, ideally, I would have made this actually in line, but all I got to do, let's just move that up. No. Why does it keep defaulting to by bodies? So obviously, this is way too big. I should shrink that cylinder down, all of that. But that would be an easy way to then join that. Let's just shrink that just a wee bit so it's a little less absurd. Sure. There you go. Make sure I hide my actual jewel. Let's join all those together. Hide those sketches, it's in my way. Join all these together. Target body is that one, and then the rest is all the rest. Join them together, bam. Now it's one solid object. Where did that end up dropping into? There we go. Call that a claw setting. Cool. Now, obviously, again, my jewel isn't going to fit in there, so I'm going to do what I tried to do before, in that, let me unhide my jewel. Let's do a combine cut. So the target body is my claw, tool body is my jewel. Cut, keep the tools, hit OK. And now, when I hide my jewel, you see it used the facets of the jewel to cut away inside the setting. Couple of really simple ways to make these. Again, this is not a full like jeweler class or anything like that. So again, I don't expect anything wild, but play around with this, build something out that makes sense to you, have fun with it. I'm trying to unhide my wavy ring. Oh, there you are. My chunks. Obviously, I should have made that a little bit more in proper scale. Join them all together. You can leave the jewel itself as a separate body, so it's easier to color. But yeah, couple of different simple ways to create some simple settings. Hopefully that helps you. All right. And done.